Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm so happy to report we have 165 people signed up for this live event. We are live on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I'm always forgetting one. And Facebook. So thank you so much. That is the highest number of people to have signed up for my live events. I'm going to stretch us though and give us a stretch goal. Can we get 200 next time? I will be back around 10 days from now with a new live event. And I'm always trying to push the envelope with my community and bring on more people. The whole why behind my live events is to really help people with their leadership skills. I am seeing in my 33 years in leadership 8 out of 10 people struggle when it comes to their leadership. And I'm going to break that down today. 8 out of 10. That's 80%. So this is why I do this. I'm not getting paid any big bucks. I just love to come on here and share my experience, knowing that I still, too, have a lot to learn. I always try to approach leadership in a hungry but humble manner. So thank you. Thank you overall for joining me tonight. I'm going to focus on 2 areas, basically, getting the mind and the body ready for co-creating, and then giving you some frameworks to utilize with your teams to co-create all aspects of leadership. So put your seatbelts on and let's go. Again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Let's dive into this. I'm going to enlarge this here, switch some things over here. Okay, like I mentioned before, let me just do this here. We're going to focus on 2 areas tonight. Please take notes, or if you need to play this back and pause it and take notes, either way, have that growth mindset where you're grabbing 1, 2, 3 things to utilize in your leadership immediately, meaning within 24 hours. Because if you don't, then you're just going to go back into your normal leadership mode, your normal leadership norms, and just keep doing the same old things. And you're probably not getting the highest results. You're probably not getting those highest results that you can as a leader. So always look forward to evolving, improving, advancing your leadership, learning, going to conferences, going to my live events, reading books, going to other people's podcasts, whatever you can do to just keep being that learn it all leader. You're going to come away with so many tools in your toolbox. So when the different things in leadership happens, then you can reach over here and go, oh, I can solve it with this thing I learned on X date. The 2 things, co-creating mindset, I'm going to hit in a lot of areas. So take a lot of notes, and then I'm going to close with co-creating framework. So here we go. Let's first start with the co-creating mindset. Look at this picture here. Are you the leader? That's the yellow airplane there going in the opposite direction of your teammates. I don't like to call them my associates or my employees, or think of my leadership organization as top down or ego centered. I like to think of my teammates, we're standing side by side, and all of us are leaders in some capacity. Yes, I am the primary leader, but every single teammate is standing to my left, to my right, and we're walking side by side forward. That's how you co-create together. So this picture here, obviously the yellow airplane is going in the wrong direction. We need to turn this yellow airplane around to follow all the airplanes going in one direction towards your mission, vision, values, and goals. Let's define what is co-creation. It's the era of that collaborative power. It's kind of a new fancy word for collaboration, where leading means listening. We're taught how to write, we're taught how to speak, but there's not a lot of courses on listening. Listening, just stepping back as a leader and listening to your teammates and co-creating together. Also, building and evolving together. So did you catch that? Leading means co-creating, leading means listening, building, and evolving together. And we have to get to that mindset. Again, 8 out of 10 struggle with this. They want to be top-down leaders. They want to be ego-centered leaders. They want to be the man, the woman. In leadership, if you want to get the max out of your team, the maximum potential, the maximum results, it has to be a co-creation approach. It has to be that way. The days of I'm the man, I'm the woman leader, and you listen to me, those days are over with, folks. Those days are over with. If you want to really push the limits, break the barriers, overcome, adapt, and all that, and have high level teams, you have to co-create together. If at any time, if you have any questions, please go in the comments and put in your question, or if you have something you want to add, put it in there. I would love to answer it while we're live. This is an example of me working with a team. We did a brainstorming session on co-creating. What are the things that they felt were important in their organization to co-create? And after brainstorming, where things are way up here, let me get myself back in the picture here. Let's do this here. And after brainstorming of countless ideas, we got it from here to here to here to here. And the three things they wanted to really focus in on co-creating together was that teamwork piece, that communication piece, and then that staff support and stability piece. And then they put some indicators under each area, only focusing on one or two indicators. In other words, they approach it in a bite-sized manner, not trying to do everything at once, but just focus on a few things, get to a mastery level, a proficient level, and then moving on to other indicators. So did you catch that? Where this team right here, this organization said, we're going to co-create together during a brainstorming session to get down to three areas where we really want to focus on co-creating. And again, it was teamwork, communication, and that staff support / stability. So here's an example. I'm going to enlarge it so you can see it real quick again here. And just take a look at that. You can pause the video here if you need to really take a picture of this, to take some notes, give you some ideas to start out of the gate. All right, let me put myself back here. Boom, here we go. All right, let me enlarge it a little bit more. All right, let me talk to you about Death Valley. Death Valley, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. It's approximately 6 hours and 24 minutes exactly from Phoenix, Arizona. It's located in California. It is the driest and it rains the least in Death Valley in the United States. So Death Valley has the least amount of rain in the United States and is the hottest in the United States. That means, again, it rarely gets rain, but in the winter of 2024, in just a short amount of time, it received 7 inches of rain. Again, in just a short amount of time. Unheard of for Death Valley. So that meant in the spring of 2025, Death Valley had a bed of flowers. That tells me one thing. Death Valley isn't dead. It's just dormant. And with the right environment, it can blossom. Let's take that thinking right there and transition it to leadership. As a leader, you're in charge of creating that right environment so everyone and everything and every situation and every result blossoms. That's what you're in charge of. It's not about you. It's about your team in front of you. That's why your mindset, your body have to be at 100% in order to lead the people beside you, your teammates. So I want you to think about that when you are reflecting within your leadership. What environment am I creating for everyone to blossom? It's not about me. You should never be scared of your teammates blossoming. Let them shine. Set them up so they are the winners. I mean, you're already winning. You're the primary leader. So let them shine. Coach them up, train them up, and then sit back and observe and coach. Observe and coach. Give them the resources, the help, the training, the motivation they need to keep moving forward. All right, I'm going to switch the screens from time to time. I like to use a PowerPoint as a visual to help myself and you to really see things. So leadership improvement starts with that leadership awareness piece. Did you catch that? Leadership improvement starts with leadership awareness. Are you taking a step back, looking in the mirror and being self-aware of how you are leading your team? It's critical, and I'll talk about this some more in detail uh, in a few minutes, on how you take those moments to reflect, organizational wise, team wise, individual wise. So you're constantly looking at things, being self aware, and you're constantly improving, evolving, advancing. That's your goal, to just reflect and, okay, this is working. We'll stay on this train track with this. But boy, over here, we need to stop. We need to refine this. Or something way over here, we need to abandon that and really just find something different or never go back to that area. So it starts with leadership awareness. Again, 8 out of 10 leaders struggle with this. That's why I'm here tonight, to really give you some tools, some reflection points to move forward with. All right, ask yourself, are you building influence or are you burning influence? Are you building influence or burning it? That's part of that reflection, that self-awareness piece. What are you doing as the primary leader to build that influence within your team, your organization? What are some things you can do, if you're not doing it now, to transition from burning to building? I always say, I'm not here during an observation or evaluation to beat you up. I'm here to build you up. So what can we do? And I talk about the positives and I thank them. And then here's the refinements. Let's work on these refinements. I want to give you the training, the tools, the resources. What do you need to go from one stage to a better stage so we can keep moving you forward and the team forward and the organization forward? There are no sloppy feet. You heard this terminology, all boots on the ground. That means everyone is on the same page with that mission, why we exist, with the vision, what we aspire to, with the values. The values mean your commitments that get you to your purpose, and then your goals, setting goals and progress monitoring those goals. So no sloppy feet, all boots on the ground. That means the primary boots are on the ground too. You're in the trenches, the so-called trenches, with your teammates. You're not stuck in your lovely office listening to voicemails and emails and doing paperwork. There's a time and a place for that. But you're down in the trenches working with the team. Now they know you're part of the team. They respect you. You guys can move forward together. Now you have professional relationships. Now you have that trust built. You have that leadership credibility. So being in the trenches, the so-called trenches with your team, is extremely important. For example, when you train your team, you have someone say, come in and train your team on a goal that you set. You, the leader, need to be in that training with them. And here's a big problem. Leaders think they're too cool for school and they miss the training, or they sit in the back of the room. That Hollywood, I call a leader, where they're too cool for their teammates. They can't even sit with their teammates. How do you think the teammates feel? How do you think they talk? That talk isn't positive. It's negative. They're looking at the leader from a distance going, wow, he or she, they can't even sit with us. Wow, and breathe the same air. So that already creates that separation anxiety, that gap. It doesn't create a team. So always when training, having training with your teammates, be in that training, sitting right next to them, participating, listening and learning like they are. Research says when the leader is part of the training, there's a 92% implementation rate. When the leader is not part of that team training, that implementation rate drops down to 44%. All right, let me enlarge this here and put myself to the side here because I really want to make sure you see this. I need to switch this. Let me just move this myself out of the way. As you can see, you can pull up research on this. It varies a little bit, but this one I really like. This says a team is made up of 20, 60, and 10%, 10%. 20%, 60%, 10%, and 10%. So the first 20% are resistors. The second are those bystanders. They're in the middle. They'll do their work. They'll comply. You really don't want people complying. You want them completing the work. uh, on a motivational level, and they feel part of the team. And then the remaining 20% you are broken down to 10% helpers and 10% champions. You are their king, queen, god. They love the boss. They love the leader. So again, 20% resistors, 60% are right there that will comply, but you want them to be completers and happy and feel part of the team. And then you have those 10% helpers and those 10% champions. So what do you do with the resistors? You got to start one by one working with them as far as getting them aboard, throwing them so-called rope every once in a while and pulling on that rope to join the team. Let me get myself back here. That's what you got to do with the resistors. You got to, again, throw them that rope and have them pull on that rope to get them part of the team. What does that look like? That means sitting down with them, talking with them face to face, none of this hiding behind an email or a Zoom, but sitting down with them face to face and saying, listen, we need you to be part of the team. When you interviewed, you were all gung-ho. What went wrong? Because we need you part of the team. Was it me? Just, you can be honest. We can have an open conversation without being mean. Be professional. How can I help you become part of this team? And then you set up an action plan. It could be an action plan. It could be an improvement plan. It could be a verbal talk the first time around. And at the end, you tell them, I expect you to be part of this team and not a resistor, because that's how you're coming across. So you work with them that way. Now, if they come aboard, you keep pulling them forward, getting them part of that team. Again, giving them those resources, that inspiration. If they don't, then you have to let them go. You have to make that move and be a courageous leader and go through the processes and let them go, because you're going to spend a lot of your time with the 20%ers versus the remaining 80% of the team. And that's not fair to the people who are bored with you. So you have to be courageous. That's the only way you're going to be a co-creating leader, is if anything negative, you resolve right away. Let me move this out of the way here and enlarge this. All right, reflective pause right here, right now. Boom, boom, boom. Ask yourself, this is going to help you out big time. Ask yourself this. Ask your team this. What makes an effective leader? Have them write it down. They don't have to put their names on the paper or the cards that you give them, but say, hey, I want to know what would make me an effective primary leader. We're all leaders in here, but what would make me an effective leader? They will happily fill that out. Now you have the blueprint on how to work with your team, because they're telling you. And what you do is, once you collect it, again, no names have to be on the paper or the cards, you read them out loud. Now, if it's a huge team, you type it up and you send it out to everyone and go, this is what you said. So every week, I'm going to focus on a couple of these indicators here, or these points, to be that effective leader. So think about that, how powerful that is. You're asking them, how can I, the primary leader, be an effective leader? They're giving you the blueprint, and you just follow the blueprint. They expect high communication. Okay, let's put in systems so there's high communications. They expect me to check on them from time to time and give them encouragement and give them refinement points. Do it. Just do it. Leadership's about showing up. Leadership's about now. Being that now leader that shows up, you listen to the people, you work with the people, you get things accomplished. It shouldn't be so hard. Leadership shouldn't be really hard. People make it hard when they have egos, when they just are they're power tripping. They think they are, the man, the woman. And no, that's not leadership. That's being a dictator. So I want you to think about that. What makes an effective leader? Ask them. They're going to give you the blueprint, and you follow that. You do a few things every week that gets you better and better as an effective leader. Change. What's funny about change is a lot of people struggle with that. They're uncomfortable with change. But yet, what's funny is, about 2 weeks ago, I heard someone say off the cuff, I don't like change, but I really do like change. All in one sentence. I thought that was amazing / funny. I don't like change, but I really do like change, and I like what it brings. And I reminded her that we change, we deal with change every day. We wake up, the weather's different. That's a change. We wake up, we might be sick. We might not be sick. We might be recovering from a sickness. Our bodies change over time. Our kids change. Uh, so many things change. Our homes over our lifetime, cars. We may say, I'm going to have one kid, and we end up having three kids. There's a lot of change in our daily lives. So we do know how to handle it. And this is just another change to deal with. So think about it. If we deal with change every day and we're successful with it, adding one more change is not going to hurt it. We're going to use that same formula of success for the new change. So be open-minded, have a growth mindset when it comes to change. Here's a little curve here. I'm going to enlarge the screen, bump me out a little bit because I want you to see this. I need to move that little, I'm going to move something out. Won't let me. Can I go to comments here? I need to move something off the screen real quick. There we go. Got it. All right. Let me go back to, again, if you have any comments during this, feel free to ask those questions now. I would love to answer them live. So here is the change curve, or one of many, that gives us an idea that when we first start with change, it kind of looks like a little J curve where we start with shock and denial when that change comes about. That's why it's critical as a leader to really get into the why we are changing and to show them the urgency behind the change and to ask them, this isn't working here. We need to change to be better. I need your help with this. I need your help with this. So let's co-create together using those words. Make that part of your culture, your company language, your organizational language. And let's start with changing this thing so we're better in that area. And when you change things, people go through shock and denial, where that's part of being a human. And then as you progress through it more as a team, co-creating together, you got that anger, fear that ramps up a little bit. And then after those two stages, you finally get into some acceptance. And as you build, you get into that rebuilding mode, that commitment mode, that, oh, this isn't bad. It really is going to help us. So we go from denial, delusional, to mad, to, okay, we got a victory here. That's okay. So walk your team through this change curve and say, I need to co-create with you. This is emotionally the roller coaster we're going to go through, and that's okay. We'll get through it together. We'll support each other, and we'll get through it together. We'll step through this together as a team. All right, I'm seeing a lot of this. Remember what I said earlier, 8 out of 10 leaders struggle with their leadership, and one aspect under that is scaredy cat leadership, as I call it. They're scared. You shouldn't be a leader if you're going to be scared. You should not be a leader if you're going to be scared. There's this new phase going around with leaders that they don't want to make a decision. And you ask them why, and their answer is, well, if I make a decision and it's wrong, that's on me. Yeah, that's called leadership. That's called leadership. Leadership is lonely at times. Leadership is courageous all the time. Leadership is making those tough decisions, but you must gather as much data, information as possible when making that decision. And most of the time, you're going to nail it, that decision. You're going to get it right. And every once in a while, there's an outlier and you get it wrong, but you did your homework. You did your research and your homework, and it just didn't fit what you were moving towards. So there's no place in leadership for scaredy cat leadership, and you have to make decisions. You should not be in leadership if you're scared of making decisions or doing the hard things or having the hard conversations, those critical, those crucial conversations. Always be well prepared. If you're well prepared, you're going to do very, very well. And that takes away that fear. Now, how do you conquer fear? That's another live event, but I'll give you some key points. You conquer fear by facing it. So, for example, one of my fears Used to be flying. I just don't like flying, uncomfortable with it. And that was in my mindset. I don't want to fly, I want to fly, but I had to fly from time to time for personal, professional reasons. And so I'd get on the plane with that mindset. I don't want to fly, I don't want to fly. What's that bump? Oh my God, it's turbulence. Oh. And then I finally just got to a point where I said, stop it, Anthony. Face your fear. Get on the damn plane and be okay with it. There's going to be turbulence. That's part of flying. It's okay. It's okay. And once I started transitioning to that mindset, I would get on the plane and be fine. I'd get on the next plane flight and be fine. It's just changing your mindset that there's going to be turbulence. There's going to be a lot of people on the plane. You may sit next to someone who's large, we'll call it, and you're uncomfortable during the flight, but it's only a few hours, or maybe it's 4 hours of uncomfortable, but it's only 2 to 4 hours of uncomfortableness, we'll call it, and then you're off the plane. So deal with it, suck it up. It's okay. It's normal. You're going to go through the hassles of flying, baggage, a lot of people, noise, rude people, etc. It's okay. And that's only temporary. That's how you start with fear, by facing it and having a mindset that I can overcome it. Part of co-creating is being humble and hungry. Humble and hungry. A lot of leaders struggle with being humble. They want to be the top dog. They want to shine. They want their pictures everywhere. They want to be speaking all the time in front of their teammates. Actually, being a leader, a primary leader, you're quiet. You eat last if there's an event. Everything is about your teammates. It's not about you. And you have to get to that mindset where I'm going to be humble, but yet hungry to move this organization. I don't need to be in the spotlight. I want my teammates to be in the spotlight. I want them to shine. I want to set them up for success. I could be in the background grinning because I helped them get there. I don't need the guy or be the guy or the girl getting the award. Let them get all the awards. All that stuff is materialistic anyways. Let them be that person. Be humble but hungry to help people, to serve, to give back, to move your team forward. That is how you co-create. If you're top-down, ego-centered, you're done. They're going to sabotage you. You're going to have high turnover. You're not going to meet your monthly performance goals. The results are going to be low. If you had smart leadership above you, they'll get rid of you. So something to reflect on, to keep reflecting on. I'm giving you a lot of learning nuggets here. You have to have the attitude of we-ness versus a me-ness, I call it. So me-ness is all about me, the leader. Look at me. You got to transition that to we-ness. It's about we, the team, and look at us and the great things we're doing. And again, put the spotlight on your teammates who are right beside you. We-ness versus me-ness. And remember, when it comes to me-ness, you're getting a nice paycheck as a leader. You're getting benefits. People see you. But if you go to a we-ness, people see the entire team and they're proud of that division, that department, that unit, those people in the organization. There's a saying out there, if you want to go fast, let's see if I get it right. If you want to go fast, be an individual. If you want to go far, be a team. All right, presence matters more than presence. So leaders are infamous for giving presence to their employees. Oh, I said a bad word, to their teammates. I wanted to make sure you were not sleeping. That's great, cool, cute. I'm sure your teammates like it, but they love your presence, being there with them in the so-called trenches. They love that, being visible, have that high communication, being around them, building those relationships, those professional relationships, so they know you, you know them. If they're out sick, you know, this teammate loves giraffes. So when they come back, I'm going to have a card with a giraffe on the card with some kind words. Or while they're sick, you send it to their house. So they go, wow, this person took time to say, get well, and they know I love giraffes, and it's on the card. It blows their minds, folks. It blows their minds if you do the simple but effective things like that. Remember, presence. is where you need to be. You need to be all around within the organization. All right, let's talk about the 10 most frequently utilized leadership styles. When I taught for Northern Arizona University, NAU, Northern Arizona University, for 14 years, I was a part-time assistant professor. And I had the blessing of teaching students who were becoming leaders. And in my classes were military, were policemen, were medical personnel, and educators, all moving into some type of supervisory type leadership positions. Some, as far as educators, were moving into vice principalships, superintendencies, and so forth. And I had the blessing to work with a lot of people for 14 years. Let me enlarge this so you can really see this. And I'm going to put myself down here. All right, the first one, autocratic leadership. I'm just going to go over these really quick. I literally take 8 weeks to teach this, so we're not going to drill down as much today as I would in those classes. But the first one's autocratic leadership, and that's simple. That's the Hitler type leadership. It's my way or the highway. You will do what I say. Shut up, sit down, do it this way. It's that mean. Literally, it's called autocratic. You will do it my way. It's top-down leadership. Bureaucratic leadership is all about by the book. By the book. By the book. Now, I never liked that leadership style because I had to do things as a superintendent, as a principal, outside the book. Now, let me clarify, though. I never did anything illegal. I just didn't follow some of the policies to the nth degree, we'll call it. So I would help students. I would help parents do things, again, outside that book to keep the kids moving forward. I forgot to mention that my doctorate is in leadership and that I had a healthy 32-year career in the education field. I was a school teacher, a vice principal, 10 years. For 10 years, I was a principal. 4 years, I was a director at the district. And then 9 years, I was a superintendent. And then I retired. I did go back as a leadership coach for 3 years. And now I'm a full-time consultant. So that's where I'm coming from with a lot of my experience and what I'm telling you tonight. So let's get back to bureaucratic. It's a by the book, and there's a time and a place for being by the book. So for an example, if I have a nuclear bomb in front of me and I had 30 seconds to cut some wires so it wouldn't explode, and I had to go by the book in cutting the 3 wires in the correct sequence, I'm going by the book. I know that's a kind of a off-centered example, but I'm going by the book for that. So there's plenty of times where you got to go by the book. But many times it's like, okay, I see the book. I'm not going to do anything illegal, but I need to do what I need to do to move my organization forward. It's okay to be that outside the box leader, that outlier, that unicorn, that goat leader, to do things and get things done, but don't do anything illegal. Charismatic leadership, huge doses of enthusiasm. They pump up the team. They inspire the team. They reward the team. So there's charismatic leadership that works and charismatic leadership that does not work. Meaning sometimes charismatic leaders can be into themselves a little too much. And the team starts to see it's not authentic. It's not genuine. So you got to be that charismatic leader that's really genuine, authentic about the team and helping them advance and move forward. Again, huge amounts of enthusiasm of helping them, the team, move forward. Democratic leadership. Democratic leadership is all about having your teammates bring to you, the primary leader, all the evidence, all the information, all the data, so you can make the final decision. They do all the work. They do all the research, all the surveys, anything you ask them to do, and you say, I need you to gather all of this and tell me what I should do. Come to me with 4 options, 3 options, 2 options. So they do all of the homework, the research, again, the data gathering, the information. If they do surveys, they get all that and they go, boom, here's 4 options to move forward. What do you think, primary leader? Did I say that right? Primary leader. There you go. So that's the democratic leadership style. Laissez-faire is leave it be. meaning the leader, the primary leader, lets the teammates do their thing. Now, that works if you have teammates that are experienced. Now, what if you have teammates that are not experienced? You can't leave them be. You have to train them up, coach them up, and then leave them be, but check on them from time to time with accountability. Accountability. So support steps with accountability steps. So leave it be. There's a time and a place for that. People-oriented leadership, just like it stated, you're all about the people, giving them the resources, developing them, moving them forward, maximizing their potential. Maybe even cross-training them so you can really be efficient on your team. Servant leadership, along the same lines of people-oriented leadership, where, again, you're giving them resources. It's all about what do you need so we can move everyone forward. What do you need, team? Task-oriented. Let me move myself out of the way here. I'm going to move myself off the screen for a second. Task-oriented leadership is all about the task. It's less about people. It's more about getting that task done and processes. We got to get 20,000 widgets by the end of the month produced. So buckle up. It's not about you. Don't call in sick. We need to get this done. It's about the task. That can be very bad. So those leaders need to mix it up where they're about people and the task. Transactional leadership is all about I pay you money. You do as I say. There's a transaction here. I give you a paycheck. I give you medical benefits, dental, vision benefits. I treat you well. Maybe every Friday I have food in the lounge for you. I recognize you once a month. And in return, I want this product done. There's a transaction, a back and forth. Then finally, transformational leadership is all about the great of leadership balled into one. You have high communication skills, high energy. You're always around. You're doing anything for the entire organization to move forward. You're transformational. And sometimes you got to mix in a little tough love. Meaning, okay, we're falling behind. We got to get going. What do we need? Okay, I will find those things. Or I can't get those things. How can we move forward with the resources we have right here, right now? So that's a quickie on 10 most frequently utilized leadership styles. Think about that when you're co-creating. Think about that. All right, let me move myself over. Boom, let's see if I can get me. There we go. All right, reflective practices. I mentioned that earlier. It's all about taking time to reflect, organizational wise, then small group partner wise, and then that individual, and building that into your work day, your work week, taking time to reflect as an organization, as a small team, as an individual. For example, as a superintendent, I would drive home, take me 35 minutes to get home, and I would be constantly reflecting on things as an individual. And sometimes I would pull up in my driveway and I could not tell you how I got from my district office to my home and what happened. Did I run over 13 people in those 35 minutes? Hopefully not, because I was reflecting so much. So the point here is don't reflect while you're driving, but reflect. But I made it intentional that I would reflect. And I took time out for that. I built it into my schedule. Do that with your teammates. Build it into their schedules. All right, a few more before we transition into co-creating frameworks. That culture piece is long-term, meaning how things are done within an organization. So if you define culture, it's defined as beliefs, expectations, attitudes, values, norms, traditions. How are those things done within an organization? Those high expectations, those beliefs, those attitudes, how are they done? If you're going to co-create, you have to have a great culture. And I always say to individuals or teams, true culture is Sunday night, do you and your teammates want to go to work Monday morning? That's true culture. They're excited about going to work on a Monday morning, a Tuesday morning, a Wednesday morning, a Thursday, or Friday. That's true team culture. Also, climate, short term, it's more the emotional state of the organization. For example, when policies changes, procedures, the leadership may change. The organization gets emotional. Who's coming in? How are they going to act towards us? Are they going to co-create with us? So there's a little bit of fear, a little bit of scare, a little bit of unsure. That's that emotional state. How's the climate within your organization? How's the emotional state? Are they excited? Sunday night, they go to work Monday morning. So think about culture, how things are done, and climate, that emotional state. Is it at a high level? And if not, sitting down with your teammates, co-creating how you can get those things to high levels. That could be a simple action plan, which I'll show you shortly. It could be 4 or 5 steps on how you get there. And you can say, we're going to commit to these steps. It's called a collective commitment. So I'll show you those things in a little bit. Reflective pause. Does your leadership make people better? You got to be honest with yourself about that. If the answer is no, what are you going to do? What is going to be your actionable next steps? Actionable next steps. What are you going to do if your leadership doesn't make people better? So you have to ask yourself that, make that part of your weekly, what was I going to say? Your weekly reflection. As you reflect, does my leadership make people better, my teammates better? And be honest. Boy, I had a bad week. It didn't. What do I need to do to correct myself for next week? And do it. Pulse surveys, taking, I won't read the whole thing to you, but taking questionnaires and sending them out to your teammates. You can do a weekly, monthly. I would do it more of a monthly thing. Too many surveys is just too much for people. They have a lot of things they're doing already. And just maybe once a month or once a quarter, every 3 months, do a pulse survey. Something where you can get a pulse of your team, your organization, your department, your unit. It's important that you get that feedback. Just like you give them feedback, you want to have feedback for you as a leader so you know how to keep moving forward correctly. Because if you don't get feedback, you might think you're moving forward correctly and you're not. As I've been mentioning all along, 8, from my experience, 8 out of 10 people are managers. They're managers. They're bosses. They're not leaders. There's a big difference. Managers deal with the daily complexities of the day. They're reactive to the so-called fires out there in the organization. Fires meaning negative things that happen. Leaders are more about people. They're more about innovation. They know where organization's headed in 6 months, in a year, 3 years, and 5 years, because they're visionary. They have things in place that are going to move the team forward towards those goals that are out in front of them. Remember, what you put in front of people, people pay attention to. So if you put in front of them co-creating leadership, positivity, vision, mission, that's in front of them. They're going to pay attention to that. And here's a beautiful picture right here, a manager versus a leader. The picture says it all. I want you to really reflect on that. Are you someone who's a boss who's in that chair, or a leader in the trenches? Remember I kept saying earlier, the so-called trenches with the team. You're going to get so much positive movement when you're in the trenches with the team. If you're a boss, you're going to get that sabotaging. You're going to get high turnover. You're going to get mad employees, not teammates. Things aren't going to go well. You're not going to have a great culture, climate. Culture means how things are done. Climate, the emotional state of the organization. Everything's going to trend towards bad. Be a learn-it-all leader, not a know-it-all leader. You ever sit down with some people, they're leaders, and they just think they know it all, and they look really bad when they're speaking. They look really bad. I was doing some consulting recently, and I sat down with many leaders, and one of them was speaking, like that person knew every nook and cranny of leadership. And I'm just sitting there going, you don't know anything. You just don't know anything, because you're sitting here trying to impress all of us, but we're not listening to you. Because what you're saying is like Charlie Brown, wah, 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 you know? So don't be that know-it-all leader, because I, in 32 years, now my 33rd year of leadership, know a lot of things, but I have a lot to learn. A lot to learn. So I'm sharing what I know, and I'm still constantly learning. Be a learn-it-all leader, not a know-it-all leader. Now, select one leadership quote that most describes your leadership. You can pause this video. Select one leadership quote that most describes your leadership. So something, I have like 5 that I love. I'll share one with you. And one of my 5 is, are you going to do it one day, or is today day one? Because I'm that, make it happen now. Let's get it done. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So what is yours? And then use that as inspiration if you're having that down and out day, that down and out week, that tough meeting. And just stay focused on that. That's your North Star. And go towards it, especially when it's tough. Especially when it's tough, because when life is great in leadership, it's awesome. It's beautiful. You're hopping and skipping. You got a pep in your step. But what about those tough times? Gravitate towards a quote or call a mentor and get some advisement so they can lift you up. What are you doing to help you be a co-creator? Is common sense common practice? Love these words. Remember, what's common sense to you as a leader is not common sense to your teammates. You have the vision of where your organization is moving, where your team is moving towards, and they need to know that. So you need to teach them. You need to marinate them in that. So you're all on the same page, and common sense is common practice to everyone on the team. So think about that. Is common sense common practice with everyone on your team? If not, make it so. Make it so. Teach them, marinate them again into the vision, what you aspire to, the mission, why we exist right here, right now. Remember, you're here to serve. You've got to be a co-creator. You're here to serve. It's not about you. I know I keep hammering home this, and you're sick of me saying that, but I'm just trying to help you. I'm coming to you with some love, care, and respect right now. I'm not trying to be difficult, mean, or tough. I'm just trying to come to you and say, this is how you move forward as a leader if you're going to be a co-creating leader. Serve, serve, serve. What is your big rock for the year? Big rock is a fancy word, or 2 fancy words for priority. What is your big priority for the year? So I like to take simple words like priority and put them into special words like big rock. What is your collective commitment for the year? What is your commandment for the year? What is your, whatever you want to name it? What is your North Star, your goal for the year? What are you really trying to get to? And everyone knows it, and you're moving together. A group and a team, there's a big difference. Visualize right here, right now. You have 4 people, and you face one person north, another person south, another person east, another person west. That visual right there is the definition of a group. You have everyone going in different directions with your mission, vision, values, and goals. They're all over the place. They're trying to communicate, but they're going in different directions. A team, you're the leader, primary leader. You're in the center. You have teammates on the right, teammates on the left of you, and you're walking together, moving forward together with everything that you do. That's what you want, that co-creating team. Yes, you still are the primary leader, but everyone's a leader in some capacity. So I want you to think about that as a leader. Are you a group or your team? And from my 32 years, 8 out of 10 organizations are groups. This is what I have seen. It's called empirical research, meaning what I have seen and experienced. 8 out of 10, that's 80% of organizations are groups, not teams. That means that's poor leadership. That's not co-creating leadership. Mediocre people dislike high-achieving people, and vice versa. There's no room for mediocrity in an organization. You do it at the highest level. You don't settle for poor effort. You don't settle for low results. You don't settle for average, ordinary. You settle for your highest benchmark, your highest goal. And look at that picture right there that you see right here, right now. Some people just act like they're trying to help you. That's culture, how people do things. You don't want that in your organization, do you? No. You want people who put that ladder down in a hole and help that teammate out if there's a hole they fell into for some reason temporarily. So think about that picture and think about that statement as part of reflecting to being a better co-creator or becoming a co-creator leader. Leadership's above the neck and between the ears. It's above the neck and between the ears. There's a lot of thinking, reflecting, a lot of action planning, strategic planning. Where are we at in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 6 years? That visionary thinking. Leaders, again, are all about people and innovation. Managers are all about processes and tasks. Show up leadership. If you're going to be in leadership, you got to show up. You can't be absent all the time or taking trips or on vacation here and there. Teammates see that. You got to be part of a team. And there's time to take off. Everyone takes off. But if you're always out and about, your team's not going to respect you. You have no credibility. I want you to think about that. Show up leadership. Are you there to help them as another teammate on the team to move them forward, or are you always absent? Are you always gone? Shrinking the ego. 8 out of 10 leaders have an ego problem from my empirical research, what I observed and experienced. They got some egos. They are the man, the woman. You heard me say that earlier. It's not about you. It's about the entire team and moving them forward. You have to have that growth mindset to understand that. To say, this is not top down, ego centered. This is about me listening and evolving with them, helping them move forward, shrinking the ego. Can you do that? All right, strategic pause. What are your key takeaways for co-creating? Your key takeaways for co-creating. What are your next steps? I encourage you to grab one thing you've heard here today, and I've thrown a lot at you. And I hope you're writing down some of these, or you're stopping the video to listening to some of my points and saying, I'm going to do that one thing right there until I get to a high level with it. It fits me and I like that. I'm going to do that one thing and see where I can get. And I'm telling you, you're going to make progress as a leader. Everything I'm giving you today is going to be helpful in moving you forward and your team forward as co-creators. So what is a key takeaway that you can take away, and what is the next steps behind that? So think about it this way. I'm going to put myself on the screen here. When you set a goal, you have to have commitment steps under that to get to that goal. Here's my goal, and what am I committed to get to that goal? And you got to stick to those commitments. You can call them collective commitments, whatever you wish to name it, to excite you, do it. Call them whatever. Steps, commitment objectives, whatever you wish to call them. But set that goal and have commitments to get there. It's almost like you say, I want to be in shape. What do you have to commit to get to being in shape? I got to be at the gym. I got to do exercises. I got to do this. I got to eat healthy. What are you doing to get to being in shape? Oops, let me go back here. This is tricky sometimes. Boom, there we go. Okay, let me move myself around here. All right. Boom. All right, I'm going to end now. I know it's been a long 54 minutes, and I'm going to end with some co-creating frameworks you can use to start you out of the gates. But before I do that, I do want to bring on Nick Saban. He's the former Alabama Crimson Tide head football coach. He had a lot of success in it. Go on YouTube, type in Nick Saban, Alabama coach. There's countless videos of him really delivering inspiration, key points, things he's been through to help his team just grow. They've won national championships. They have a high percentage of winning games. He's he's considered a top collegiate coach during his time. So, and he just retired a few years ago. But I want to play a video for you of him. Hopefully you can see this here. Let's see, did it show up? Let's see, let me show this here. Let me see if I can play it. Is that on your thing? I don't think it is. Let me do this. I'm gonna back up And I didn't share it to my screen, so it's not on there. Let me share it to my screen now. So my blunder here, my fault. Share. Now it should be on there. Let me see here. There it is. Okay. Let's see if I can get this to play. Uh, I don't think it's going to play. Let's see if it's going to play. Okay, it's not playing. So I don't know what happened here. So I'm going to stop sharing and get back to this here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. And ladies, I was hoping to insert a video there to kind of bring home some of my points with Nick Saban, but I'll get that right next time. Let's move on to the final stage here. And these are co-creating frameworks. SWOT, SWOT. S stands for strengths, W weaknesses, O opportunities, and the T threats. Looking at this model, you can sit down with your teammates and co-create what are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And work on the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats. Put in an action plan and keep it bite-sized, a couple steps to get to those things. Master those things, move on to the next thing that you need to refine to work on. Celebrate your strengths. Pat yourself on the back every once in a while for the strengths. So this is something you can look up, the SWOT analysis as it's called, and it focuses again on 4 areas: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Pull that up and research it, and if it fits what you're doing, complete it, just like this example here. Complete it. And then commit to it. Tight and loose framework is as simple as it is stated. You get a whiteboard or a piece of paper. What are our tights? What are the things we could be loose with? So in education, our tight is we had to teach the state standards. That's a slam dunk, a non-negotiable. That's a tight. The loose, how you teach it. Is it project-based? Is it direct instruction with high student engagement? Is it what method are you using to teach the state standards? So the tight is the state standards that you have to teach. The method to teach them is the loose. So write yourself, your team, your organization, what are our tights, what are our looses, and commit to those. Collective commitments, again, as simple as it sounds, you write down what are you going to commit to. And you can do it in the form of brainstorming, where you have a lot of collective commitments. And then you say, we can't do all of these. Let's focus on bite size and do 3 of them, do 2 of them. That's it. And focus on what we're going to commit to for the next month, 6 months, year. These are the things we're going to master. Collective commitments. And you get everyone involved in that process. Just brainstorm and go down to 2 of them. And this is what we're going to do. And we have to get everyone aboard to do this. And then we'll move on to some other collective commitments down the road. But that's how you can get your team focused. Give them a direction. Get them involved. Non-negotiables is a classic that's been out there. You sit down as a team. What are our non-negotiables? Things that we have to do and get done. And again, brainstorming session, maybe start with 20, get it down to 10, scale it down to 5. Then these are our 3 to 5 non-negotiables for the year, for the quarter, for the semester. And you just commit to those things. This stuff isn't hard. It's just sitting down and doing it and committing to it and staying the course. And then making sure you monitor that commitment throughout the process. All areas, law, education, business, have professional standards. So pull those professional standards up and you can utilize that to set the tone for co-creating. These are the professional standards in our area. For example, in education, we have the PSEA, Professional Standards for Educational Leaders. There's 10 of them. I would never tell an educational leader to focus on all 10. Let's take 2, bite-size it down to 2, and let's really zero in on that. But how do you get to the 2? You sit down with your team, you introduce the 10 professional standards to them. Okay, folks, what can we chew here? What's bite-sizable for us? And have them select it. And you may not get 100% vote on 2 things, but get a consensus where you have the majority of people agreeing. Okay, the majority of you say these 2 things we're going to focus on under this PSEL, or Professional Standards for Educational Leaders. And this is what we're going to commit to. Put in action steps, do it, monitor those action steps. Let me enlarge this so you can see this. This is one of many change models that are out there. As you can see, I'm going to get myself off the screen. This is the 8-step process for leading change by Dr. John Cotter. And he made it pretty simple right there. There's 8, a lot of stages, but pretty self-explanatory. Stage 1, create urgency. Stage 2, a coalition. Stage 3, develop a vision and a strategy. Stage 4, communicate the vision. Stage 5, empower action. Stage 6, get quick wins. Stage 7, leverage wins to drive change. And finally, stage 8, embed in your culture how you do things. And then he breaks it down if you look at the top of the model here. So utilizing that change 8-step process with your team, educating everyone on it, marinating in it, understanding it, and then as you go through a change, you just introduce, this is what we're going to go through here, here, and here, and it's all okay. We'll get to our goal. We're going to be emotionally different for a little bit, but we're going to get back to smiling, back to happy, back to high results. Here's an action plan. There's countless action plans. It's as simple as it sounds. Again, goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, and it's broken down into certain areas, action steps, team responsibility, start dates, due dates, resources required, desired outcomes, and notes. Now you need to measure it too as you progress through the goal. So pick an action plan that fits you, complete it as a co-creating team, and then you, the primary leader, give support steps with accountability steps. You measure this out as you progress through it. Everything comes down to when you co-create, what's your target, what's your direction, what's your focus? What is that target in front of you? Remember, what's in front of you, you pay attention to. What's in front of you, your mission, why you exist, you pay attention to. What's in front of you, your vision, what you aspire to, you pay attention to. You keep things as a primary leader in front of the team so they pay attention to it. Your values, your goals. You're constantly doing that. Constantly doing that with meetings. It could be in emails. It could be when you recognize people, you have some type of certificate with a gift, and maybe the certificate has the target on it with the your direction, focus, your commitments, your whatever you want to put on there. But keep a target in front of your team so they pay attention to it. Now, we're almost done here. I think this is the last slide, or second to the last. This is the last slide. Are you going to be that now organization, or are you going to listen to this and say, this was cute, beautiful, awesome, but I'm going to go back to doing what I normally do and get the same tired results? This is what this is all about. We talked about, or I was a monologue today. I talked about how you need to get that mindset right to be a co-creating leader. And then I gave you some frameworks to start out of the gates with to help you co-create. Co-creating is all about including everyone. So that inclusiveness in you, the leader, and your team, including everyone, to co-create. You had some leadership styles I introduced to you earlier. Which leadership style do you fall under to help you co-create? There's so many nuggets here. I encourage you to share this with other people that you know can help them excel, improve, advance, evolve as a leader. And that is it, folks, for tonight. I wish all of you the best. I want you to get out there and just be a better leader. Again, from what I have experienced and observed, 8 out of 10 leaders are struggling. That's why I do this. to give you a lot of learning nuggets to help you advance. God bless. Keep pushing through, and I'll see you soon.